जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय राधा गोपी वल्लभ राधा गोपी वल्लभ राधा। जय राधा मदन मोहन राधा। जय जगन्नाथ बलदेवा जय श्री जयो जगन्नाथ जगन्नाथ बलदेवा जय श्री जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गौर हरि बोल बोल निताई गौर हरि बोल। राधा मदन मोहन श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव रमाई श्री गौर निताई वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह स्वामी भगवान की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरौ श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सद्गुरुं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः नमो ब्राह्मण्याय देवाय गौ ब्राह्मणाहिताय च जगद्दिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कुरोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं श्री परमानन्दमाधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरम् ओम अपवित्रो पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थं गतोऽपि वा यत् स्मरेत् पुण्डरीकाक्ष सभ्याभ्यन्तरं शुचे श्री विष्णु श्री विष्णु श्री विष्णु Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Mataji, thank you for joining. It's a Ekadashi morning. I'm very, very grateful for giving me this service. This service is given by Supreme Personality of Godhead. If I have woken up today and I'm able to read Srimad Bhagavatam with all of you, that's not because we have planned something, but it is Lord Krishna who has planned it. And he has planned each one of you to be in this class. And he has planned for me to read it for you. That's my service for you. So I'm going to repeat this chapter. Firstly, I'm very grateful to each and every one of you who have come here. Padma Mataji, Shilpa Mataji, thank you for coming. Santosh Aitya Prabhu and whole family, Dandot Pranam. Vanilla Mataji, Shri Giraj Prabhu, Lavanya Mataji, thank you for coming.
Hare Krishna.
Supara Prabhu, Shilpa Mataji, Dandot Pranam, thank you for coming. Mahalingamaya Prabhu, Meera Mataji, Hare Krishna, thank you for coming. Srinivas Prabhu, Hare Krishna, thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam.
How is Mataji Prabhuji?
She's fine, Prabhu. She's fine.
I actually wanted to call you and ask Prabhu, please forgive me. Hare Krishna. Swapna Mataji, thank you for joining. Saraswati Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam.
Thank you for joining, Mataji. Thank you for
Dandot
joining.
Pranam, Prabhuji.
Raju Prabhu and Shirsha Mataji, thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam.
Dandot Pranam. Swati Mataji, Sanjay Prabhu, Dandot Pranam. Dasraj
Hare Krishna,
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam.
Dasraj Prabhu, Ansa Mataji, thank you for joining.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam.
Jairaj Prabhu, Hari Bol, thank you for joining. Hare Krishna. Sakya Prem Prabhu, you are here. Dandot Pranam Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining.
Dandot Pranam Prabhu. Today I am fortunate to hear from you.
Vagisha Mataji also, Dandot Pranam, thank you for joining. Hare Krishna. Kiran Avla Prabhu, Dandot Pranam, thank you for joining. Madhusudan Rao Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam, thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Tulsi Mataji, thank you for joining. Praveen Prabhu and Soma Mataji, Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Satyadev Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Shivali Mataji, thank you for joining. Praveen Prabhu, I'm amazed you are in the call after yesterday night. Almost
Hare
close to
Krishna
the call.
Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you. Pawan Prabhu and Sandhya Mataji, thank you for joining. Hare Krishna. Soumya Mataji, thank you for joining. Hare Krishna. Shigopal Prabhu, Poonam Mataji, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Sirisha Mataji and Satya Prabhu, thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. And Prashanti Mataji and Mahesh Prabhu, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Whole family is there. Aur kya chahiye? Very well. So nice. So nice. This is our family. Sunil Prabhu, thank you. Thank you for joining, Prabhu. So this is our whole family. How many of you feel we are with the family now?
Hari Bol. Yes, Prabhuji.
हरी बोल हरी बोल
पूरा family है साथ में. प्रभु यही family के साथ जाना है वापस. Hari Bol. This is a family which is going to take us back home, back to Godhead. This is the family of Srila Prabhupada. We are all grandchildren of Srila Prabhupada. Grandchildren. We are all here. And this family is the most precious family. Most precious family, Prabhu. The one who loses this family, when I say Srila Prabhupada's family, loses everything in life. Loses everything in life. And today's chapter of Maharaj Rahugana meeting Jadabharata. Before I start, I would want to share something. That for the first time when I was reading Srimad Bhagavatam, of course, every canto is nectarian. First two cantos is everything Prabhupada gave, first canto especially, and then creation, and then Kapila Maharaj instructions, and then Puranjana story, and then Ritu Maharaj. So many things came. But the chapter which literally, the chapters which really shook my consciousness, and I'm very grateful to Srila Prabhupada's purports, are these chapters of Jadabharata. I could never forget it. I was awestruck, I was stunned, because in 14th chapter, we were reading recently of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks Krishna, what are the symptoms of a person who has transcended the three modes of material nature? Right? He asks the question, what are the symptoms? How does he walk? How does he talk? How does he interact? How does he interact? How does he express? How does he deal with the world? All these things he asks, right? We were recently, last Sunday only, we were discussing about that in the Bhakti Center. This is the way it is. The whole Jadabharata's episode is about that person, how he lives in this world. He's in the world, but not in this world. That's exactly what we're going to experience now. And the previous chapter about the qualities of Jadabharata, who is Jadabharata? Because some of you, if you have not attended the previous class, Jadabharata is none other than Bharat Maharaj himself, a very, very highly realized devotee who is taking a birth as a deer, and then next time as a son of a great Brahman. His father is a great Brahman, not an ordinary Brahman. And this again reassures and proves that if we are in the path of Krishna consciousness, what is our next life going to be? If at all we could not finish our Krishna conscious journey, what is our next life going to be? It clearly proves, right? What is spoken in one part of a scripture is being proved in another part of another scripture. Bhagavad Gita says, Krishna says that in next life, you'll be born in a devotee's family, right? And from there, you'll continue your spiritual journey. And that's exactly what is happening here. So one might ask, why a deer's body in between? Of course, he got attached to a deer. And Lord Krishna, through the example of Jadabharata or Bharat Maharaj, is explaining how dangerous it is. How dangerous it is to be attached to anything in this world, that we have to come back. Even at that stage of consciousness where you are completely surrendered. Why did Bharat Maharaj go to the forest? He was done with his life. He felt there are no attachments he has, but the subtle attachments are so dangerous. especially the aspect of being individuality, individuality. I am the karta. I can do this one feeling which he could not detach himself from, or which maybe a tinge of it was remaining, sprouted out when he started helping the deer. We all want to help the deer. Nobody should say no, not helping the deer, somebody in distress, but always understand the ultimate help is being done by the Supreme Lord himself. We are just an instrument, right? If you get attached to our service, as our service is the reason for somebody to be saved, that means you are saying that I am the one who is saving it. I am the one who is saving somebody. For example, as a doctor, a devotee doctor, if you are thinking that he is alive because I am giving him medicine, you are indirectly saying you are God. And that attachment will bring you back to this material world, right? So, so he did take birth in this family of great Brahman. But what now is known as Jadabharata, but what Jadabharata is, Jadabharata Maharaj, what he is doing cannot be repeated. You get that ad, right? That get that warning in some videos. Don't repeat this at home. Like, don't try to enact this at home. It's dangerous for you, like that they say, right? Without any hesitation, I can tell that we should not and we cannot repeat what a great Vaishnava at that level is doing here. He declares himself to be a mad person, and he leads a life like a dumb person. He behaves like an unintelligent fool. He tries to avoid any suggestion, any recommendation, any influence, any desire, and he can clearly see that he is not this body. And none of the insults touch him. None of the insults touch him. None of the, awe and reversion of this world can influence him. It's really that very verse that in Bhagavad Gita that Lord Krishna is telling what are the symptoms of a transcendentalist, what are the symptoms of in the second chapter also he talks about Sthita Prajna, and in the 14th chapter he talks about the exact symptoms of the person who is transcended the three modes. These are these things, right? And put into action. Can any one of us behave like Jadabharata? You cannot. Even for half an hour you cannot. Forget about some time. Half an hour. You walk out of your room, behave like a madman, and immediately within half an hour, your ego will come back and say, hey, why are you speaking to me like this? You cannot. What Jadabharata declared to do can be done only by somebody like Jadabharata, who is clearly leading a life as a soul in the material body. Right? He is actually leading a soul's life. And a soul's life is to remember Krishna at all times and to remember his eternal identity with Krishna at all times. He is not even willing to understand what is yoga and kshema, what is settlement, what is that? Assurance of safety. Nir yoga kshemam atmavan. I don't want yoga kshema. What is a yoga kshema in this material world? There's nothing like that, right? And was perfectly situated to leave his body. And in the previous chapter, the amazing part is, even when he is brought to be killed, I mean, you can, okay, within the four walls, you can act like like a madman. You can go around talking, or not talking, or you can behave as if you're acting. But if your head is kept in an angle and there is a sword which is going to cut it off, we all feel that we have to prove something in this world, right? Oh, I have to prove something in this world. It's very important that I prove who I am. Jadabharata had no desire to prove himself. Impossible. I mean, if you read that chapter, the previous chapter, it's like, is it even true? We talk about this, what is it? meaningless Marvel movies, oh, somebody is flying and somebody is doing something. And we think, is it even true? Can it happen? I'm telling you, forever to marvel. This is much bigger than any imagination of a human being. That you are behaving like a madman until you are dead and after you're dead also. You do that. Like you're really saying, I don't care if what the world thinks. I am very clear in what I want to. What is that? I'm very clear on how I want to lead the life. You're going to cut my head off. Still, I'm not going to speak. That wait, wait. You don't know who I am. I've been acting like this, but you don't know who I am. You will never say that. And the dacoits, who are worshipping Kali, were not able to see the greatness of this personality because it is told he would never even take bath properly because he wanted to hide his Brahman effulgence, the Brahmanical, the purity of that effulgence that he wanted to hide that. Right? He knows how self-realized he is. Now another important aspect here is Jadabharata knew how self-realized he is. He exactly knew. And he knew what happens when the self-realized person speaks. He knew what are the effects of being self-realized. And he chose to be dirty by not taking bath. His father would say, if you go for a nature's call, wash your hands after that. He would wash it before that. Just to prove that he is a mad person. And his father tried and tried and tried saying, okay, I will teach something to my son before I go. He could not. He could not because Jadabharata would not want to learn it. See, you can teach somebody who is willing to learn. And you can try to teach somebody, who is completely unlearned or he doesn't have any knowledge. But how can you teach a person who is not willing to learn? Or rather, he is ignoring it. Jadabharata respects his father. Jadabharata knows what his father is doing. But still, he wanted to have no connection with this real world because he did that mistake in the past birth. He tried to keep some connection and that brought him back. And this time he was so determined, I have no connection. I don't want a connection. I want to go back to Krishna in this life. Prabhupada once asked his disciples, how many are ready to go back home, back to Godhead? Right? Yes. Many. Even we can ask that question. How many are ready to go back? But are we ready to dedicate our life at this level where we don't care about the future? And we don't care about the present also. All we know is we are acting for Krishna and Krishna is going to take care of everything. But well, that is sannyas ashram, right? Sannyas ashram means what? You have a stick, you have a kamandalu, taking and walking. That's it. Wherever you find somebody, you tell the glories of Krishna. If somebody gives something to eat, you will eat. Otherwise, you'll keep walking. I mean, it's how much can you fake it? How much can you fake it if you don't have that consciousness? It's not possible, right? So Jadabharata had declared that no matter what happens, he is not going to make his presence felt in this material world because he knows what is this world. He is like that. He's like that person who can see the underlying code of this software. He can see the entire code. He knows how the software is working, how everything is functioning, and he knows how dangerous it is. And he knows about his mind also. Prabhu's Jadabharata is the person who has controlled his mind, completely controlled his mind. His mind is only filled with Krishna, and his mind is only filled with one target. I have to go back home, back to Godhead. That's it. There is no other. And we are now, why am I giving this preface? Why am I giving this preface is the conversation that is going to happen now. Please hear very attentively because you'll never hear this kind of conversation anywhere else. In this material world, you'll not hear. greatest of the philosophers in YouTube can come and speak whatever. But this conversation between Jadabharata and Maharaj Raghuvana is the epitome of spiritual truth. What Prabhupada used the word absolute truth is God. That absolute truth is going to be heard now by all of us directly. And it is going to be a very amazing conversation. And one other reason you may ask, why did Jadabharata speak? He never spoke. Even when his head was being cut off, he did not speak. Then Mother Kali came and saved him. That's a different thing. But why did he speak in case of Maharaj Raghuvana? His head was being cut off. He did not speak. But in this chapter, for the first time in his entire life, Jadabharata speaks. It's like unbelievable incident where he starts speaking. But why did he start speaking? Because this chapter itself answers, and Prabhupada's purport itself answers why Jadabharata chose to speak is because Raghuvana was the best person to hear. That's amazing thing. Guru Parampara means a guru who knows the tattva is eager to share it with compassion, and a disciple who knows the value of a guru surrenders to listen it with humility. Both these combinations come together. Arjuna, Krishna. Jadabharata, Raghuvana. Narad Muni, Prahalad Maharaj. Narad Muni, Dhruva Maharaj. Right? Perfect combinations. Kapila Muni, Devahuti. And Bhagavatam is filled with these kind of situations where the perfect person with compassion, with Tattva Gyan comes to share, and the perfect person to receive it with humility surrenders there. And the conversation is unbelievable. The best conversation happens. Prabhuji, I'm just sharing it, I have this stupid desire, I can say stupid also, is that whenever two senior devotees are speaking, I want to become like a hidden person going and sit and hear what they are speaking. Because, because they are speaking something beyond, and just sit and hear. It's not gossip. See, the same tendency of hearing gossip is to hear the worldly affairs, which are useless things. Now we want to hear between pure devotees, right? And once I heard that, I was not supposed to be there, but I was there, and I heard one very, very senior sannyasi speaking to another Prabhupada disciple. When I was hearing, I could feel that they are not talking anything. Even their simple question, how is your health, was not to do anything with this material world. It was all about their preparation together to serve Srila Prabhupada and how they can go back home, back to Prabhupada and continue serving there. I was amazed. I heard this from a god brother also, Sanatan Priya Prabhu. He lives in Denver, and His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj once visited Denver. There is a Prabhupada disciple there. Her name is Nidra Mataji, very, very elevated Vaishnava, very, very elevated Vaishnava. So Sanatan Priya Prabhu was saying, he was in this temple, and Maharaj was there, Radhanath Maharaj was there, pure devotee, great Prabhupada disciples. When you hear from them, all these sannyasis. So he's sitting there, and then Nidra Mataji comes there, and she pays obeisances. Maharaj pays obeisances, and they know each other. Prabhupada disciples serving for ages. Nidra Mataji is famous for her dedication, her fixed dedication for book distribution. Every day she goes for book distribution. Every day, rain or shine, thunder or storm, she will take the book, she'll go and distribute, even at the age of 70 or 80. She's been doing it since she is 16 years old, 17 years old, something like that. When she met Prabhupada, and Prabhupada told distribute books, and she's doing it. Now, this kind of surrendered soul is meeting this kind of another surrendered soul, and they both are talking, and Sanatan Prabhu was sitting in between, and he was hearing them. He said, Prabhu, I experienced Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatas, the Bhagavatas, what are they speaking? How are they dealing with each other? Prabhu, there is no fake, there is no to do, or there is no, what is that artificial so-called acting that happens between Bhagavatas. Whatever they do, like, you see Jayapataka Maharaj speaking to Gopal Krishna Maharaj, or some other great sannyasi speaking to another great. These are very, very unbelievable, situations where they meet and they start discussing, and the discussion only has one thing: how to serve, and how are we preparing ourselves to serve. In this chapter, in Purport, Prabhupada says that please hear this attentively. This will tell you the level of consciousness that was. Vishwamitra Muni comes to meet Dashrath Maharaj. So, Dashrath Maharaj, you know that episode. Vishwamitra Muni comes and takes Rama and Lakshmana, right? So he comes to the palace of Dashrath Maharaj. And Dashrath Maharaj gives him the throne, asks him to sit on the throne. And while walking or while sitting there, generally when we meet people, what do we ask? How are you doing? How is your health? How do you do? Something like that we'll ask, right? Something that's a normal conversation that we do today. The conversation, the first word of conversation between Dashrath Maharaj and Vishwamitra Muni, Dashrath Maharaj is asking Vishwamitra Muni, please hear, he's telling that, hey, great sage, in your journey to cross over the cycle of birth and death, how are you making progress? Can you believe it? That's the normal, casual conversation between Dashrath Maharaj and Vishwamitra Muni. In your journey to cross over the cycle of birth and death, how are you making progress? Can you believe it? Would you ask that question to anybody? Huh? Just go out of your house. Somebody comes to your door. You ask him, in your journey to cross over cycle of birth, how are you making progress? He'll say, what is wrong with you? Go doctor ko dekho. What is going on? But understand that is the level of consciousness at which people used to live in this Bharat Varsha. And think how much we are deteriorated now. I mean, it was not like, a planned talk or a Bhagavad. It would not even come in as a big conversation between two people. That was a conversation of people, of great people, casually being spoken in Bharatvarsha. To a point now, in 2024, where if you speak about something like that, you are considered a fool. Or in fact, you are even, some action will be taken against you. Hare Krishna. So with that preface, we are going to hear that kind of conversation now. Are you all ready? Haribol?
Haribol.
You're ready? Okay. Now this conversation, please keep aside everything else. The next 1 hour or so, I'm not going to discuss much. Just hear the conversation. Because the conversation itself is so great. Maybe a little here and there I may try to add something. But I just want to go through this conversation. And the Sanskrit shlokas are, the meters I don't know. So they're very long way of shlokas. I'll try to read one and then I'll start reading only the English translations. Text 1. Maharaj Raghuna meets Jadabharata, Canto 5, Chapter 10, Text 1. Shri Sukha Uvacha Atha Sindhu Shauvirapate Raghunasya Vrajata Ikshu Matyas Tate Tatkula Patina Sibhika Vaha Purushan Veshana Samaye Daiveno pasadita sa dvijavara upalabdha esha piva yuva samhana nago o karavad duram vodhum alam iti purva visti grihitai saha grihita prasabham atar arha yu uha sibikamsa mahanubhava. Please excuse me for any mistakes, many mistakes, sorry. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sukadeva Goswami continued, my dear king, after this, King Rahugana, ruler of the states known as Sindhu and Shauvira, was going to Kapilashrama. When the king's chief palanquin carriers reached the banks of river Ikshumati, they needed another carrier. Therefore, they began searching for someone. And by chance, they came upon Jadabharata. They considered the fact that Jadabharata was very strong, was very young and strong, and had firm limbs. Like cows and asses, he was quite fit to carry loads. Thinking in this way, although the great soul Jadabharata was unfit for such work, they nonetheless unhesitantly forced him to carry the palanquin. Right? So it's very self-explanatory. So this king is going on the palanquin. He's going to Kapilashrama. Who is that king? Rahugana. Great king. Right? And this palanquin people are carrying. Maybe they got tired or they wanted to replace one person. They looked at around. Everybody in the kingdom is supposed to serve the king. Of this, there is no doubt. So they directly asked, please come and carry the palanquin. Whom did they ask? They asked Jadabharata. Now, Jadabharata is a young person, very nicely built. It is many times referred, his bodily features also. Nicely built, and they felt he can carry big load. So why don't you come and help us? Next, text 2, translation. The palanquin, however, was erratically carried by Jadabharata due to his sense of non-violence. As he stepped forward, he checked before him every 3 feet to see whether he was about to step on ants. Consequently, he could not keep pace with the other carriers. Due to this, the palanquin was shaking. The king Rahugana immediately asked the carriers, why are you carrying this palanquin unevenly? Better carry it properly. Now, the problem with palanquin is everybody has to be almost of the same height, right? And everybody should walk in the same rhythm. How many of anybody here has participated in Brahmotsavam, where you carry the palanquin of the Lord and you go to the temple, you go around and you bring it back?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhuji. You have that experience, right? Biggest challenge is, if you have these people the same height, and if you're too tall, you'll struggle to lift. If you're too short, you'll be struggling to lift. And again, you should go at the same pace. Even if you go a little, one person doesn't walk, it can even fall, the whole thing can fall down if one person stops in between. And just imagine, King Rahugana is nicely relaxing, and Jadabharata, Maharaj Jadabharata is suddenly stopping because there can be ant. Or let me make sure that there is nothing on the earth. And in the purport, Prabhupada explains the disposition of a devotee in all situations. It's a very uncomfortable situation for Jadabharata because he's not supposed to be used for carrying a palanquin. He's a great Brahman. He's not supposed to be called for such kind of work. In a way, it's an insult also. For somebody like, it's an insult, but Jadabharata doesn't consider it as insult. So Prabhupada explains, even in a situation where you are going through an insult or uncomfortable situation, still it doesn't give you a right to harm any ant. See, I'll give an example here. Sometimes devotees, they're practicing spiritual life. They come to a point where they're tested. Or they go through some very difficult situation. I'm just putting it, okay? Don't think I'm quoting something that has happened. I'm just telling. You had a problem with the temple president. And again, you had a problem with another senior devotee. And then again, you had another problem with some other authority from ISKCON. And suddenly, you get angry and frustrated in spiritual life. And then you start using filthy language to somebody else. You are explaining these kind of people, these fools, these bad people. How they don't understand. What did Prabhupada give? What this? See, what has just happened is you have compromised your values and principles when you're tested in a very provocating situation, right? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj explains what is the greatness of a person. What is the greatness of a person? He says beautifully. He says greatness of a person is known by his behavior of how he behaves in provoking situations. In provoking situations, how he behaves, right? That shows the greatness of a person. Not his wealth, not his influence, not his strength, not his knowledge. Greatness of a person is not known by his knowledge also. Don't think, oh, he has so much knowledge. He does Bhagavad Parayanas, he does Bhagavad classes. All that is skill. Greatness of a person is known of how he behaves in provoking situations. How is he disposed? Right? How does he behave with others? That shows the greatness. Knowledge can be repeated. See, I'm giving a class. You all can give better classes. You can sit and talk about this chapter like unbelievable philosophy. But after this class, how am I behaving the very next moment? And throughout the day, how am I behaving? Am I compromising the principles just because I'm frustrated? Jadabharata is a great example where he's not forgetting. He's not forgetting that in every living being, there is Krishna. And Prabhupada quotes here. He says, Lord, in Sankhya Yoga, Lord Kapiladeva explains, Suharada Sarvadehinam. Sarvadehinam. All bodies, not just human bodies. And Prabhupada says, many people, they only value human bodies. But a Vaishnava values all dehis. He can literally see. And he was able to see these ants are going out. What right do I have to kill that ant? No, I will be very careful. I'll be very careful. In my situation, I'll be very careful. Suppose if you're not feeling the compassion against other living entities, when you see you are a reason for it, then we have not begun our Krishna conscious path. There was time, there are times when I used to drive in the late night, sometimes my car driving in the late night. And suddenly sometimes, you have these insects on a certain climate day. I don't know what kind of climate it is. Too many insects in the sky. And they keep hitting your mirror. Tap, 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 tap. They keep hitting. And it's so, so difficult. What can you do? What do you do? I stopped traveling in those evenings. If I see, if I get to know, I don't know what else to do. But you are killing thousands of insects. Invisible. Of course, invisible, there are many. But I would never think like that before. But after reading Prabhupada purports, so much dangerous is material world. So many things we are doing without our awareness. And we have to pay a cost for it. Don't think we are not going to pay a cost for it. We are going to pay a cost for it. And so please, Krishna, help me in this material world. Doesn't look like a place from which I can come out. There are so many sins I'm doing even now. Unknowingly, knowingly, I'm doing it. Krishna, please help me. Please help me. Please help me. There is the only way. He can only pull us out. He can only pull us out. Prabhu's knowledge can tell us how to control senses. But we cannot control senses. Knowledge can tell us what are our senses. Knowledge can tell us how dangerous our senses are. Knowledge can tell us what will happen if you misuse your senses. Knowledge can tell us, Bhagavatam can tell us how dangerous is sense gratification. But you still cannot control your senses unless you have blessings of your Guru, unless you have blessings of a Vaishnava. This I learned this from, I heard and I was amazed to hear this from Balgoin Prabhu. One day Balgoin Prabhu called me. We spent a whole day together that day. Actually, we had to go somewhere, some class, and I was driving him, and he was with me. We had some other works. Throughout the day, we were together. And I left Prabhuji. We were talking, nice. It was all good. I don't remember when I dropped him. I think 7 or 8 in the evening. And then I came 10:30 or something. He called me. And Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat. Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Throughout the day, we were together. It's very unusual that you spend a whole day with somebody and he again calls you back at 10:30 in the night. And he said, now it's a very personal conversation. I'm sharing it. He said, Prabhu, did I say anything wrong to you? Please forgive me if I behaved in a way. Did it cause any distress to you during the day? I was like, Prabhuji, come on, what are you talking? We had a good time. Why would you feel like that? You are my senior God brother. You can say. He's like, no, Prabhu, please tell me. I said, what happened, Prabhu? Why are you asking like that? Prabhu, for some reason I'm feeling I'm not able to control my senses. I'm losing my mind. My mind is running everywhere. I'm getting all kinds of thoughts. My senses are, I feel that I've done some offense. For the first time in my life, I read this, but I'm seeing a devotee actually contemplating it and actually asking it. Have I done any mistake? Because, he's a senior devotee. He knows that is the only reason why we lose sense control. Prabhu, if you do Vaishnava Aparadh, your senses are completely out of control. If you insult a devotee, your senses are out of control. Don't even think about it. You don't think that by learning by reading a scripture or understanding how to sense control by putting some artificial means you can control it. You cannot control senses. Sense control is only happening because of the mercy of our Guru. Because the mercy of Vaishnava, sense control is happening. Information of what is senses is there. Information of what is mind is there. But how to do it, how it will happen is only the mercy of a Guru. Today, if we are all sitting in this call and we are able to practice the principles of Krishna consciousness, follow the 4 regulative principles, chant 16 rounds minimum in a day, not because of our capacity to do it, not because of the strength of our sadhana, it's only because of the blessings of our Guru that we are still chanting, that we are able to control anything at all. And we cannot otherwise. Right? We cannot. And that is how much we should think about it. Right? And a Vaishnava sees that. A Vaishnava sees that. So if I do any offense, it'll impact my spiritual life. Any offense. Now both of you are aware. The beauty of this chapter is Raghugana is a great Vaishnava. Jadabharata is a great Vaishnava. Till now we have not read about Raghugana. Jadabharata is thinking, by stepping on an ant or any insect, I'm going to commit an offense. It is not just killing something, it's an offense. It's like Krishna has a plan for every living entity, and I'm going to be an obstacle in that plan, killing that living entity because of my actions. He's thinking like that, right? Hare Krishna. Text 3. When the palanquin carrier heard the threatening words of Maharaj Raghugana, they became very afraid of his punishment and began to speak to him as follows. So that, king is becoming uncomfortable because the palanquin is going upside down, up and down, whatever way it is moving. And king is getting angry. Hey, please carry it properly. So they're going to speak to Jadabharata. Text 4. Oh Lord, please note that we are not at all negligent in discharging our duties. Now they are telling this to the king. This king is shouting, why? What is going on? Lift properly, walk properly. No, sir. Please note that we are not at all negligent in discharging our duty. we have been faithfully carrying this palanquin according to your desire. But this man has been recently engaged to work with us, cannot walk very swiftly. Therefore, we are not able to carry the palanquin with him. They had to admit. Now, it's not like, they can fake around saying, okay, we'll do it nicely. You cannot do it nicely even if one person is not cooperating. So palanquin workers had no other choice. They had to tell that this person, because of him, we are not able to do it. Okay, unless he works normally, the remaining also cannot do it. So they told. Text 5. King Rahugana could understand the speeches given by the carriers who were afraid of being punished. He could also understand that simply due to the fault of one person, the palanquin was not being carried properly. Knowing this perfectly well and hearing this appeal, he became a little angry. Although he was very advanced in political science and was very experienced. His anger arose due to the inborn nature as a king. Actually, King Rahugana's mind was covered by the mood of passion, and he therefore spoke as follows to Jadabharata, whose Brahman effulgence was not clearly visible, being covered like a fire covered by ashes. Now, the king needs mode of passion. He has to get activities done. He uses mode of passion. So here he is using mode of passion, and his mind is covered by mode of passion because he's getting the work done from his palanquin workers. So he's going to speak something in mode of passion to Jadabharata. He saw Jadabharata. Just imagine, a great Bhagavata he saw, but he could not recognize. Right? Once Srila Prabhupada, in a Parapati writes, a fool cannot be recognized until he speaks. Jai Prabhupada. Like, only Prabhupada can make a statement like that. He says, a fool cannot be recognized until he speaks. The moment a person speaks, we will know what he is. We will know what he is, right? Until he speaks, you don't know what he is. There are so many great gurus, so many so-called fake spiritual leaders today. Unfortunately, they've always been there. I don't think in Kaliuga they're there. Now we are seeing them in YouTube. There are many always, right? Some philosophers, this guru, that guru, they'll make themselves Maharshi, Yogi. That they will add their prefix. They'll sit there and they'll sit in meditation like this. They will not speak anything. People will go, they'll think, oh, hey, look at that guru, is completely in trance. He's not in trance, he's sleeping. And, and then he'll sit like this. And then, so one person will go and ask, Guruji, what to do in life when we are in trouble? You look at him. Like this. Immediately he'll answer, oh, Guruji is telling, just go inwards and depend on me. See what an advanced guru is. You think like that. Just by being silent, you can make many disciples in today's day and time. I bet you. Somebody wants to, I'm not telling you should become cheaters here, but I've seen people, the so-called gurus, they don't talk anything. They sit there and people come and sit around. What silent is, what silent. Why are you being silent when God has given a mouth? Why don't you repeat the words of Bhagavatam to people? No, they will not. Because the moment you talk, they will know that this fellow is a fool. This fellow is a cheater. So Prabhupada says, a fool cannot be recognized until he speaks. The moment he speaks, you'll find out what he is. Right? So here is a reverse way. Jadabharata is not speaking. Rahugana has seen him, and because he is not speaking, and because he's covered by this dirt and the way he has covered himself by not keeping himself clean, he could not recognize him. So great Vaishnava cannot be recognized with eyes. A great Vaishnava cannot be recognized with what? Eyes. What is the biggest problem that people do today? They want to recognize greatness of people with their eyes. No. Greatness of the people can be recognized with their ears. When they speak, you will know the greatness of a great Vaishnava or any great person. You should hear what they talk, and then you'll understand what they are. And of course, their behavior follows after that. Text 6. King Rahugana told Jadabharata how troublesome this is. My dear brother, you certainly appear very fatigued. Now, every single word, Prabhus and Matajis, please, this verse, please hear it attentively. Because Jadabharata is going to answer to every single word that is being told here. Every single word. Rahugana is trying to tell this in a sarcastic way. Like, you tell a strong person, because you are weak, you could not come to my house. Just imagine. You're a very strong person, a strongly built person, and you tell him, because you're weak, you could not come to my house. That means you're sarcastically telling him that in spite of you being strong, you're not able to come to my house. So that you're telling in a reverse way. So the entire shloka here is sarcasm due to anger that Maharaj Rahugana is telling to Jadabharata. Everything is sarcasm. So and with anger. So everything that is going to tell is mostly it will be reverse. Okay. So please be attentive. I'm going to read it now. King Rahugana told Jadabharata, how troublesome this is, my dear brother. How troublesome this is, my dear brother. So he's telling, he's carrying the palanquin. How troublesome it is, my dear brother. You certainly appear very fatigued because you have carried this palanquin alone, without assistance, for a long time and for a long distance. See this? Three things he has told. All the three are false. Number one, he was not looking fatigued. Right? Just some time back, we read that his workers saw him as very stout and a strong person who can carry anything. And he just started carrying. It's not like he was carrying for a long time. And he was not the only one carrying. There were many others also who were carrying with him, right? There were many others who were carrying with him. He was not the only one carrying. But here, look at the sarcastic statement. He's saying, I'll read it again. You certainly appear very fatigued, which is not, because you have carried this palanquin alone. No, he was not carrying it alone. He's saying you're behaving as if you're carrying it alone. That's the sarcasm. You're behaving as if you're carrying it alone, without assistance, for a long time and for a long distance. Right? So it's a very provoking, insulting statement. Remember that. It's a provoking, insulting statement. Next. Besides that, he continues. Besides that, due to your old age, you have become greatly troubled. Now, in the beginning shloka, they saw Jadabharata as a young man. A young man. Now here Rahugana is referring him due to your old age. Means what? Again is sarcastically saying that, you're behaving like an old fellow. Huh? So he's saying, besides that, due to your old age, you have become greatly troubled. Next, my dear friend. So in this conversation, sometimes when you're shouting at somebody and you use a respectful word, actually that respectful word turns out to be even more harsh. Even more harsh, right? Like sometimes when you have to correct somebody, you don't have to use something, some bad word. Sometimes you can use a good word, and that good word acts to be even more impactful than a bad word to correct that person, because it is so impactful. Can any one of you tell me one shloka in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna is correcting Arjuna using this technique of a little bit of sarcasm and praise, sarcastic praise? Can you remember of a verse?
In the second chapter, Prabhu. So he says, when he starts that, what great soul, or say, what you, great soul, it doesn't suit you, what you are saying.
Jatunasam, Natvam Janadipa. No, not before that. What is that?
Talking like a Pandita, he says.
Na Anusuchanti Pandita. Pandita is saying Pandita. You are speaking like a learned person. You look like a learned person. Or, what kind of things are you grieving for? Pandita. Like you use that word just to, you're telling that, you think you're a Pandita, but you're talking like a Shudra. Right? My dear friend, I see that you are not very firm. He's continuing. My dear friend. So that's why I'm using this whole explanation. My dear friend, I see that you're not very firm, not very strong and stout. Aren't your fellow carriers cooperating with you? So it's reverse. He is not cooperating with others. So king is telling him reverse. Are they not cooperating with you because you are so weak? Are they not helping you to carry the carrier? Just imagine, completely reverse. Sarcastic statement with anger being told to a person like Jadabharata. In this way, the king criticized Jadabharata with sarcastic words. Yet, despite being criticized in this way, Jadabharata had no bodily conception of the situation. He knew that he was not the body, for he had attained his spiritual identity. He was neither fat, lean, nor thin, nor had he anything to do with a lump of matter, a combination of 5 gross and 3 subtle elements. He had nothing to do with the material body and his 2 hands and legs. In other words, he had completely realized his spiritual identity, Aham Brahmasmi. He was therefore unaffected by the sarcastic criticism from the king. Without saying anything, he continued carrying the palanquin as before. Yeah, I mean, you can't do this. Huh? I mean, somebody tells you all these things, you can't just carry on. Because, and it was not like, it was not like he was tolerating. Remember one thing. Tolerating means you think you are insulted. Please, hear this attentively, what I'm going to tell you. Tolerating means you think you are insulted. That is when you tolerate, right? Here in case of Jadabharata, he was not tolerating. He rejected the whole statement that it doesn't apply to him. Whatever you told, where is the question of tolerating? Where is the question of insult? Like, for example, somebody comes and tells, something about your neighbor's house. What kind of house he has built? What is this? It's a useless property. He should have done. Does it bother you? If somebody is talking about your neighbor's house, does it bother you? If they talk about your house, you will get bothered. If you tell what construction you have done, you have not thought about the future. You should have thought, why do you ask? I know how I built my house. But if somebody is talking about neighbor's house, you will not be bothered because you don't consider that house is yours. In the same way, Jadabharata here is not considering the body is his. And all the comments, that sarcastic comments that Raghugana made are about his body. Saying you are an old person, are you not getting enough help? You are a lean and weak person, are you not getting cooperation? Huh? You are, you have been carrying it for a long time, so the pain, you might have done like that. All these things are related to body. And Jadabharata is in a consciousness that I am not this body. Where is the question of insult? Now, Prabhus, this is like, that's why I said in the beginning of the conversation, of today's discussion, we are dealing with a person who is not in this world. And exactly what Lord Krishna is telling, that when you transcend the 3 modes, this is how you see the world. That if he is insulting you and you are saying, who is he insulting? Not me. He is insulting you. No, not me. He is insulting you. What is the you here? My name, my body, and I'm not this body. I'm the soul. I'm in this material world, traveling, and just a matter of time, I'm just going to go back to my eternal abode. You don't identify with it. You don't identify with it, right? You don't really, like, it doesn't affect you because you don't identify with it. I mean, just take an example. You go to a restaurant. You're sitting there and you see that the chair is almost broken or the chairs are not nice. Will you call a carpenter and get it fixed? Anybody? Will you call a carpenter? This chair is not nice. Can you please fix it?
No problem.
Why?
Because it's not our property.
One, it is not our property. Second, we are not there forever. We don't identify with that place. Your business is, you've gone there to eat something. You had to go there. You had to drink a little milk or fruit or whatever salad you wanted to have. You had it and you go out. That's it. You have got no business to fix anything there. Even though you are seeing it is hanging. I'm not telling you a perfect example, but I'm just trying to allegorically put it that you completely detach yourself from that identity. Then what can affect you? Nothing can affect you. Nothing that can affect you. And here he has detached himself with the body itself. So the consciousness of Jadabharata is so fixed that you can't insult him. On what basis will you insult him? Let's continue. He knew that he was not the body, for he had attained his spiritual identity. He was neither fat, lean, nor thin, nor had he anything to do with a lump of matter, a combination of the 5 gross and 3 subtle elements. He had nothing to do with this material body and its 2 hands and legs. In other words, he had completely realized his spiritual identity, Aham Brahmasmi. He was therefore unaffected by the sarcastic criticism from the king. Without saying anything, he continued carrying the palanquin as before. It did not get affected. Text 7. Thereafter, when the king saw that his palanquin was still being shaken by the carriers, he became very angry. And he said, "You rascal, what are you doing? Are you dead despite the life within your body? Do you not know that I am your master? You are disregarding me and are not carrying out my order. For this disobedience, I shall now punish you, just as Yamaraj, the superintendent of the death, punishes sinful people. I shall give you proper treatment so that you will come to your senses and do the correct thing." Now, straight statement. Now, remember one thing. Every single line in this statement is being heard by Jadabharata. And after hearing all this, he's unaffected. It's not like, sometimes you're angry, you don't even hear. You tell what you want to tell. I don't want to listen. You don't even pay attention to it. But the beauty is the next verses when you hear, Jadabharata is going to answer to each and every sentence and line of Rahugana. Why? Because he was not angry. So when you're angry, you don't listen properly. You get deluded, right? Deluded. What is that verse? Vishya ध्यायतो विश्व पुंसान सांगस्य दुपे संगात संजाते काम काम क्रोध विजाते क्रोधात भवति सम्मोहात स्मृति विभ्रमा. Memory is gone. You get deluded. You get completely when you are angry. Now here, Jadabharata is not angry. He's just hearing. Oh, he is telling me something. Okay, tell. But he is not. He is thinking that he's not telling me. He's telling my body. So he's completely detached from his body and he's not getting affected also. So he is able to attentively hear whatever Maharaj Rahugana is saying. Right? I'll once again read because it's very important that you're going to hear the answers for this also. So thereafter the king saw that his palanquin was still being shaken by the carriers. He became very angry and said, "You rascal, what are you doing? Are you now hear the lines. Are you dead despite the life within your body? Are you dead despite the life within your body?" Next. Do you not know that I am your master? Remember this line. Do you not know that I am your master? He's going to receive answer for that. You are disregarding me and are not carrying out my order. You're disregarding me and you're not carrying out my order. He'll get answer for that also. For this disobedience, I shall now punish you just as Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, punishes sinful people. I shall give you proper treatment so that you will come to your senses and do the correct thing. All this was properly heard by Jadabharata, but he was unaffected. Why? Because he thinks all these things he's talking to my body. He's not talking to me. Text 8. Thinking himself a king, King Rahugana was in bodily conception and was influenced by material nature's mode of passion and ignorance. Due to madness, he chastised Jadabharata with uncalled for and contradictory words. Contradictory words. Jadabharata was a topmost devotee and the dear abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although considering himself very learned, the king did not know about the position of an advanced devotee situated in devotional service, nor did he know his characteristics. Jadabharata was a resident of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He always carried the form of Lord within his heart. He was the dear friend of all living beings. And he did not entertain any bodily conception. He therefore smiled and spoke the following words. Hari Bol, Prabhus. Now this is called mercy. This is called mercy. Because there is no reason for him to talk. He has not spoken throughout his life. Now he is talking. Now, Jadabharata is going to talk. Why? Can anyone tell why he is planning to talk now? He has not spoken throughout his life, but is planning to talk now. Why?
Because of his compassion.
Yeah, because he was compassionate always, but he never spoke.
Because he is speaking only when the time is the most perfect, Prabhuji. So that he can teach us all, maybe.
Yes. You partly answered it. You're almost there. Of course, one of the answers I already gave in the beginning is because he found the perfect person to hear. Right? I told, right? The perfect Tattvagyani, the perfect disciple, when they come at one place, Bhagavatam starts. He knew the greatness of Maharaj Raghugana also. The Bhagavata can recognize. Even though Maharaj Raghugana was speaking in mode of passion, shouting at him, but he knew. He could recognize that here comes the great Vaishnava. And I'm going to speak to a great Vaishnava only. He did not speak to anybody. His brothers were torturing him. His relatives were torturing him. Everybody were torturing. He never spoke. But now comes a great Vaishnava in the form of Maharaj Raghugana. And a great Vaishnava can recognize, Jadabharata can recognize, whom should I talk to? And he wanted, Krishna wanted him to talk. Right? From as Paramatma, Krishna is telling, talk. Now is the time for you to talk. Right? And because he spoke, today on, I don't know, what is the date today? February, what is the date?
20th.
February 20th, 2024, we all are getting benefited because he spoke that day. And Krishna knows on that day that we all will sit here in a Zoom call and discuss it. Krishna knows who all are going to get benefited for eternity. Krishna knows with this conversation. So Krishna asked Jadabharata to speak. And a pure devotee starts speaking. Now hear the conversation, Prabhu. It's going to be classic. Text 9. The great Brahmana Jadabharata said. What did he say? I'll read slowly so we can. It's very simple. No need of explanation also. Straight he speaks. My dear king and hero. He's also giving it back. My dear king and hero. Whatever you have spoken sarcastically is certainly true. Actually, these are not simply words of chastisement. For the body is a carrier. Body is a carrier. The load carried by the body does not belong to me. My body is carrying this load. This load doesn't belong to me. For I am the spirit soul. Therefore, there is no contradiction in your statements. Because I am different from my body. I am not the carrier of your palanquin. The body is the carrier. Certainly, as you have hinted, I have not labored carrying the palanquin. In the beginning, he told, right? Oh, you are laboring. He said, I am not labored carrying the palanquin, for I am detached from the body. You have said that I am not stout and strong. And these words are befitting a person who does not know the distinction between the body and the soul. The body may be fat or thin, but learned man would say such things to a spirit soul. You are not talking to me, you are talking to my body. If you are talking to me, you would not use the word fat and thin, he's saying. You not use the word fat and thin. You're talking to my body. As far as the spirit soul is concerned, I am neither fat nor skinny. Therefore, you're correct when you say that I'm not very stout. So his sarcasm is reversing and saying that, yeah, you're correct only, I'm not stout. Because I'm the soul. Soul cannot be stout or fat or thin. Also, if the object of this journey and the path leading there were mine, there would be many troubles for me. But because they relate not to me, but to my body, there is no trouble at all. Now, he's saying anything that happens to this body should not bother me. Should not bother me. Because that is the body's journey, not my journey. Right? Again, very, very advanced statement. Very, very advanced statement. Something is pressing the 1 minute.
Hello. Chapati.
Okay. Muted. Hare Krishna. Yes. Now let us listen. Text 10. Text 10. Now he continues. Fatness, thinness, bodily and mental distress, thirst, hunger, fear, disagreement, desires for material happiness, old age, sleep, attachment for material possessions, anger, lamentation, illusion, and identification of the body with the self are all transformations of material covering of the spirit soul. Hare Krishna. All the emotions are nothing to do with the soul, nothing to do with us. A person absorbed in material bodily conception is affected by these things. But I am free from all the bodily conceptions. Consequently, I am neither fat nor skinny nor anything else you have mentioned. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada in the purport, in this purport, Prabhupada says, people today are living like two-legged animals. Two-legged animals. Only eating, sleeping, mating, defending. They have no clue of their identity. They have no clue of their identity. That's the unfortunate part. Your identity is being so clearly explained by Jadabharata that you are the soul. You are the soul. And none of this belongs to you. Text 11. My dear king, you have unnecessarily accused me of being dead, although alive. Right? He told, right? What did he say? Let me read. What did he say? Gussa hoke kya bola? You rascal, what are you doing? You are dead despite the life within your body. Now he heard that and he's answering to that. Just see how accurately the answer is saying, my dear king, you unnecessarily accused me of being dead, though alive. In this regard, I can only say that this is the case everywhere because everything material has its beginning and an end. My body is dead, not me. As far as you are thinking that you are the king and the master, now he is answering to the next one. What is he saying? Do you not know that I am your master? You have disregarded me and are not carrying out my order. For that he is answering now. What is he saying? As far as you are thinking that you are the king and master and are thus trying to order me, this is also incorrect because these positions are all temporary. Today you are a king and I am your servant, but tomorrow the position may be changed. And you may be my servant and I am your master. These are temporary circumstances created by providence. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada quotes from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Ekale Ishvara Krishna Ara Sarva Pratya. The only master is Krishna and everyone else is servant. What master servant are you talking about? Now, I'm giving a statutory warning here. Whatever you're hearing in the class today, I know it's a working day. Don't go and tell your boss. Don't go and tell your boss, Ekala Ishvara Krishna, Ara Sabha Pratya. Who is your master? You are not my master. Tomorrow I can become your master. So I'm giving a warning. So this is a Bhagavatam class. Keep it to yourself. This is for our self-realization. Or if you tell this chapter to your boss, maybe he'll become a devotee. I don't know. You can take a chance. Appraisal time is coming. So aapki marzi. Text 12. My dear king, if you still think that you are the king and I am your servant, you should order me and I should follow your order. I can then say that this differentiation is temporary and it expands only from usage or convention. I do not see any other cause. In that case, who is the master and who is the servant? Everyone is being forced by the laws of material nature. Therefore, no one is a master and no one is a servant. Nonetheless, if you think that you are the master and that I am the servant, I shall accept this. Please order me. What can I do for you? Now he is putting in a very hilarious way at the end. He told, you are not my master, I am not a servant. Material nature is the one who is actually making and playing with all of us. But if you still think that you are my master, please tell me, what can I do for you? Text 13. Beautiful conversation, actually. Text 13. My dear king, you have said, you rascal, you dull, crazy fellow, you told this statement. Now he's repeating that. He's saying, I am going to chastise you, and then you will come to your senses. In this regard, let me say that although I live like a dull, deaf, and dumb man, I'm actually a self-realized person. Wow. For the first time, he's revealing his identity to the world. And he's telling, I am self-realized person. I know what is happening. What will you gain by punishing me? If your calculation is true, and I am a madman, then your punishment will be like beating a dead horse. There will be no effect. When a madman is punished, he is not cured of his madness. So because you told I'm mad and you're telling that he'll punish you, punish like Yamaraj, how does it matter? What is the point in punishing a fool? There is no point in punishing a fool. Because a fool is a fool. A mad fellow is a mad fellow. An intelligent fellow can be punished, so he'll change at least. So he's trying to tell, if you think that I'm mad, then what is the point in you punishing me? Text 14. Sukadeva Goswami said, O Maharaj Parikshit, when King Rahugana chastised the exalted devotee Jadabharata with harsh words, that peaceful saintly person tolerated it all and replied properly. Nescience is due to the bodily conception, and Jadabharata was not affected by this false conception. Out of his natural humility, he never considered himself a great devotee, and he agreed to suffer the results of his past karma. Like an ordinary man, he thought that by carrying the palanquin, he was destroying the reactions of his past misdeeds. Thinking in this way, he began to carry the palanquin as before. Now just see the disposition of a devotee. He is only considering that this situation that I have got in my life, even though I am self-realized from past life, I can remember past life, still I am being asked to carry this palanquin and listen to the words of the king is only because of my past misdeeds. Can you remember a verse which talks about a devotee welcoming the bad situation and praising the Lord for putting him in that situation and thanking him, considering that has his own misdeeds, but the reaction is being decreased by the king, by God. It's a very famous shloka.
Kunti Maharani prayers.
No, Kunti Maharani says, give me more troubles. But here, Jadabharata is saying, whatever situation is happening, is good only for me. You only gave it the situation for me. It's good only. I'm thanking you. Thank you. Lord Brahma's verse in 10th chapter, 10th canto. And Prabhupada quotes that in the purport. Tattenu kampam susamikshamanu bunjami evatma katam vipakam. Vidvag vapubhir vidadam namaste, namaste, namaste. Thank you. Jiveta yo mukti pade sadayab. Huh? What is the meaning of this verse? My dear Lord, one who constantly waits for your causeless mercy to be bestowed upon him and who goes on suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, offering you respectable obeisances from the core of his heart, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. Lord Brahma is telling. If we are thanking Krishna for every situation we are getting in life, very difficult, huh? I can tell this in a class. Prabhu, I can tell this in a class. Not easy. Because we still have that bodily conception that I am the doer. I am the doer. Very thoroughly sitting inside. But a self-realized devotee would never, ever blame God. Vritrasura, he never blamed God for getting that ghastly body as a Rakshas. He was praising God in that body. Everybody was against him. So many instances in Bhagavatam you can see. The devotee goes through so many things, but he never ever thinks that it is done by God for my bad. He only says you are actually decreasing the effect of it. Everything that is happening is due to my own karma, due to my own past karma. Text 15. Sukadeva Goswami continued, O best of the Pandu dynasty, Maharaj Parikshit, the king of the Sindhu and Shauvira states Maharaj Rahugana had great faith in discussions of the absolute truth. Being thus qualified, he heard from Jadabharata that philosophical presentation which is approved by all scriptures on the mystic yoga process and which slackens the knot in the heart. His material conception of himself as a king was thus destroyed. He immediately descended from his palanquin and fell flat on the ground with his head at the lotus feet of Jadabharata in such a way that he might be excused for insulting words against the great Brahmana. He then prayed as follows. Oh, this is amazing. A king, literally gets down from the palanquin after hearing these words, after just hearing these words, falls flat on the ground with his head at the feet of Jadabharata, asking him forgiveness. Huh? You'll hear the next word. This is very unusual. You can't imagine. See, none of us have been a king. We don't know what it means to be a king. You are in absolute power. Today's politicians can't even be compared to what is a king. Political power you lose in few years. One non-confidence motion you lose in this year only. They live with insecurity. A king doesn't have any insecurity. King doesn't have any insecurity of losing the kingdom. He feels that he is the ruler. He feels that he is God actually. With that kind of power, if somebody gets down from the palanquin, falls flat on the ground, offering Dandavat Pranam in front of an unknown person who just spoke few philosophical words, and he understood that they are perfect match with scriptures. So what does it mean? He knew scriptures. King Rahugana knew scriptures. As soon as he heard that, his conclusions are matching with the mystic yoga mentioned in the scriptures. My God, I am in front of a Bhagavata. Now there is no question of me being a king. The actual king has come. Why do we call sannyasis as Maharaj? They are Maharajas. They are the conquerors of their senses, of their mind, of their everything. And they have surrendered to the God. They are real kings. Right? And immediately falls flat. I mean, Prabhu's after 47 years of my life so far, I am so proud to be part of Bharatvarsha, where my leader today, Narendra Modi, doesn't hesitate to fall flat on the ground offering Dandavat Pranam in front of a sadhu or God. He's amazing. He's setting an example. Right? And there are so many other leaders who are coming with spiritual background, who are coming with good value system. Now, don't think I'm propagating BJP party here. If somebody from Congress does, same words I'll use. But right now, who is doing it? Right? I mean, this is very important for us to know that a leader is humble in front of sadhus. Recently, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's 150th appearance day was celebrated. Right? Have you seen the way Narendra Modi went and he offered Pushpanjali and the consciousness which he was bending down? Great, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
This is amazing. This is amazing. Raja Rishi means what? A king who is also a Brahmana, who is also understands the words and recommendations and he values sadhus, right? And now he goes to the Swaminarayan, temple inauguration. Same way he goes and he tells, and he tells, as a king, as a He's not a king, but I would like to call him. It doesn't hesitate me to call him so, because he's such a nice position. And he says that institution main guru, I forgot that name of that great sadhu. So he says that whenever I do something right or wrong, this guru doesn't hesitate to call me and even shout at me. He's telling that in front of the entire world. He's telling that in the front of entire world, that a sadhu has a right to even correct me. Keep aside all institutional aspects, all other aspects. There can be billions of differences of opinion or understandings, higher, lower, that's okay. But Prabhupada also told, always respect a sadhu. Always respect a sadhu. And hear the instruction of a sadhu. And he's very clearly telling that a sadhu, I am accessible to be corrected. And even now I'm getting corrected. He told that. You hear the speech again. I was amazed when I heard that. You cannot tell that, unless you're humble in front of such a whole audience, the international speech, whole world is hearing. It's a historical incident when Sanatan Dharma, a temple is being established in the Middle Eastern countries where the whole propaganda is God doesn't have a form and it has to be broken. There the temple is being established, and not in an informal way or a hidden way, grand way. And the whole world is watching. And the leader of the country comes and says, I am here to be corrected with the words of a sadhu. Jai. Text 15. Sukadeva Goswami continued, O best of the Pandu dynasty, Maharaj Parikshit, the king of the Sindhu and Shavira states, Maharaj Raghuna, had a great faith in discussion of the absolute truth. Being thus qualified, he heard from Jadabharata that philosophical presentation, which is approved by all the scriptures on the mystic yoga process and which slackens the knot in the heart. The material conception of himself as a king was thus destroyed. He immediately descended from his palanquin and fell flat on the ground with his head at the lotus feet of Jadabharata in such a way that he might be excused for his insulting words against the great Brahmana. He then prayed as follows. Text 16. King Raghuna said, now hear the answers of Raghuna, or a prayer. Now, very instructive. Huh? King Raghuna said, oh Brahmana, you appear to be moving in this world, very much covered and unknown to others. Who are you? Are you a learned Brahmana and saintly person? I see that you are wearing a sacred thread. Are you one of those exalted, liberated saints such as Dattatreya and other highly advanced learned scholars? May I ask whose disciple you are? Whose disciple you are? Where do you live? Why have you come to this place? Is your mission in coming here to do good for us? Please let me know who you are. Now, this is a perfect, Prabhupada explains in purport. This is called approaching a guru. Tad vijnanartham sa gurum eva bigachet. Saying, recognize a guru. Recognize a guru. And you can ask that question. What is your identity? He's asking parampara. He's directly asking, which parampara do you belong to? Whose disciple are you? Now, Prabhupada also explains two things. A person can be learned either by being part of a parampara or of a great family. A great Brahmanical family. Even if he's part of a great Brahmanical family, indirectly, he's part of a parampara. He's being taught by his father and ancestors the Vedic knowledge and the conclusion of the Vedas is already taught. So, two ways you can understand. Prabhupada says that words. At the end of the purport, is if you want to receive the spiritual knowledge, you must approach a bona fide Brahmana guru, either in disciplinic succession or in a family of learned Brahmanas. Text 17. My dear sir, I am not at all afraid of the thunderbolt of King Indra, nor am I afraid of the serpentine. Please hear this attentively. Very instructive verse. He's saying, my dear sir, I am not at all afraid of the thunderbolt of King Indra, nor am I afraid of the serpentine, piercing trident of Lord Shiva. I do not care about the punishment of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, nor am I afraid of fire, scorching sun, moon, wind, nor the weapons of the Kuveras. Yet, I am afraid of offending a Brahmana I am very much afraid of this. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, can you see the consciousness of Maharaj Rahugana? He's a Vaishnava. Now you are able to identify him, right? He could not identify Jadabharata, and we readers of Bhagavatam are now identifying. We also could not identify Rahugana by his initial speech, but now we are hearing who is Rahugana. He exactly knows that his entire spiritual life and future lives are ruined if he insults a Vaishnava, if he insults a Brahman. There is no discussion on that. He's telling, Are kill me with trident of Lord Shiva. Put me in oil and burn. Doesn't matter. Because that is only a suffering of this life. But my future lives, my spiritual, it will be a spiritual death for me if I have offended you and you are a Vaishnava. Text 18. My dear sir, it appears that the influence of your great spiritual knowledge is hidden. Actually, you are bereft of all material association and fully absorbed in the thought of the Supreme. Consequently, you are unlimitedly advanced in spiritual knowledge. Please tell me, why are you wandering around like a dullard? Oh, great saintly person, you have spoken words approved by yogic process, but it is not possible for us to understand what you have said. Therefore, kindly explain it. He's telling now, please give me purport. You spoke. Taka, 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 you told three verses. But the knowledge you spoke is very advanced. Please explain me. And how do you serve a great guru? When you're hearing from a great guru, what pleases the great guru? Prabhus?
Following his instructions.
Following his instructions and
Humility.
humility and
Mood of service.
Mood of
Mood of
what is the
service.
book in Bhagavad Gita which talks about a disciple hearing from a guru?
Tadvidi
Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyantate jnanam jnananas tattvadarshinaha. He is going to ask questions now. Because when you ask question, it actually means that you are attentive to what he told. Right? Now, Jadabharata is standing there and Rahugana wants to make sure that Jadabharata speaks. So he asks questions. Asking question is not just a formality to ask questions. He actually had questions because he heard attentively. Prabhus, when you hear attentively, you'll have questions. And because you're not asking question doesn't mean that you're not heard attentively, but it's also a mark of respect to a Vaishnava, to a great guru when you ask questions. Sir, can you please explain me this a little more? Because I may not get you again. You, by God sent arrangement, you are here in front of me. It's my best opportunity to ask more clarification. Please tell me. Now he's going to ask. Text 19. I considered your good self the most exalted master of. I consider your good self the most exalted master of mystic power. You know the spiritual science perfectly well. You are the most exalted of all learned sages, and you have descended from the benefit for the benefit of all human society. You have come to give spiritual knowledge, and you are a direct representative of Kapila Deva, the incarnation of God, and the plenary portion of knowledge. I am therefore asking you, O spiritual master, what is the most secure shelter in this world? First question, what is the most secure shelter in this world? Right? He's starting to ask. And before that, he praised, before that, he recognized, he re-emphasized the identity, saying, you are not an ordinary person. Please, you have to tell me the answers. You have come here for everybody's benefit, for the benefit of entire humankind you have come, all living entities. Text 20. It is not a fact that your good self is a direct representative of Kapila Deva, the incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead. To examine people and see who is actually a human being and who is not, you have presented yourself to be a deaf and dumb person. You are not at all. Are you not moving this way upon the surface of the world? I am very attached to family life and worldly activities, and I am blind to spiritual knowledge. Nonetheless, I am now present before you, and I am seeking enlightenment from you. How can I advance in spiritual life? Right? He's completely humbling himself. Exactly like Arjuna also humbled himself. Before Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, he completely surrendered. He completely surrendered. Shishya Shateham Mam Tvam Prapannam. Shadi Mamtram Prapannam. I am your Shishya. Now speak. Karpanya Dosho Pata Swabhava. I have Karpanya Dosha. I can't decide things properly. I'm a miser person. Please speak. Same way here. Here Rahugana is completely humbling and genuinely disposing himself in front of Jadabharata, saying, please speak. I'm now in front of you. I'm attached to family life. Baba, please help me. Text 21. Now, he is going to analyze the words that Jadabharata told. Now, here the greatness of a king. He was not just hearing as in hearing. He actually is going to remember the words that he told and is going to ask the questions in relation to them. See, Prabhu, that is very, very important. When we all hear a lecture, when we all hear a lecture from any great Vaishnava, don't in the beginning ask out of context questions, because that means that, okay, whatever he told, it's okay, I have some other question. First, refer to what he has spoken. And that's a very nice way to please the Vaishnava. So here, Raghugana is teaching all of us how he heard from Jadabharata. Exactly those lines he is going to use to frame a question. So he's telling, you have said, I am not fatigued from labor. Although the soul is different from the body, there is fatigue because of bodily labor, and it appears to be fatigue of the soul. When you are carrying the palanquin, there is certainly labor for the soul. This is my conjecture. You have also said that the external behavior exhibited between the master and the servant is not factual. But although in the phenomenal world it is not factual, the products of the phenomenal world can always affect things that is visible and experienced. As such, even though material activities are impermanent, they cannot be said to be untrue. Now, this is actually, Prabhupada says in the purport, this is the way he was attacking Mayavad philosophy, that the world doesn't exist, everything is illusion. No, he's saying, see, even though you are saying, I'm not a king, you're not a servant, but still it is there. Even though you're saying, my body is carrying the palanquin, but the soul also after some time feels the pain because it is connected to this body. So can you please explain why you said so? Why you said that it doesn't affect me? It's only my body. I see a clear relationship there. How come you are telling that this relationship either doesn't exist or it doesn't affect you at all? Can you explain further? Wow. Text 22. King Raghuna continued, my dear sir, you have said that the designations like bodily fatness and thinness are not characteristics of the soul. That is incorrect, because designations like pain and pleasure are certainly felt by the soul. You feel the pain, right? You may put a pot of milk and rice within fire, and the fire and the milk and rice are automatically heated one after the other. Similarly, due to bodily pains and pleasure, the senses, the mind, and the soul are affected. The soul cannot be completely detached from this conditioning. He's saying, you are telling that I'm completely detached from the body, but you feel the pain, right? How can you say that you don't feel the pain? I want to understand more. Now, he's not challenging here. He's inquisitively, in the beginning itself, he told, I'm all conditioned. Please, you have to explain what you told, because I'm a little confused now. Text 23. My dear sir, you have said that the relationship between the king and the subject, or between the master and the servant, are not eternal. But although such relationships are temporary, but when a person takes a position of a king, his duty is to rule the citizens and punish those who are disobedient to the laws. By punishing them, he teaches the citizens to obey the laws of the state. Again, you have said that the punishing a person who is deaf and dumb is like chewing the chewed or grinding the pulp. That is to say, there is no benefit in it. However, if one is engaged in his own occupational duty as ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Lord, his sinful activities are certainly diminished. Therefore, if one is engaged in his occupational duty by force, he benefits because he can vanquish all these sinful activities in that way. Now he's saying, now you're saying that I'm not a king, but I'm a king. Now there is a Varnashrama system established by God. By following our occupational duty, our nature, by perfectly following it also, we can come out of the bodily attachment. There is a process there. But you are saying that actually all those things are not of any importance at all. Can you explain further? How to understand that? How to understand that? X24. Whatever you have spoken appears to me to be contradictory. O best friend of the distressed, I have committed a great offense by insulting you. I was puffed up with false prestige due to possessing the body of a king. For this, I have certainly become an offender. Therefore, I pray that you kindly glance at me with your causeless mercy. If you do so, I can be relieved from the sinful activities brought about by insulting you. He's still remembering, oh my God, I insulted you. Please forgive me. Answer these questions, but please forgive me. Please forgive me. And here Prabhupada writes in the purport that Vaishnava aparad is a horrible aparad, mad elephant aparad. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells in Chaitanya Charitamrita that once you offend a Vaishnava, your entire spiritual credit bank will be emptied. Emptied. So very, very careful we should be. Text 25. I request some of you who did not attend last Sunday feast class, where I was trying to repeat about this Vaishnava Aparad, unknowingly committing offenses against senior devotees, unknowingly, even while serving them prasadam, even while behaving around them, even while talking to them. Please hear that class again, because I have made notes and I repeated it, so that we all know. How else will be trained otherwise? You think Vaishnava Aparad is just talking bad? No, there are many other things that we should learn. So please hear that recording. Text 25. Oh, my dear Lord, you are the friend of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the friend of all the living entities. You are therefore equal to everyone, and you are free from the bodily conception. Although I have committed an offense by insulting you, I know that there is no loss or gain for you due to my insult. You are fixed in your determination, but have committed an offense. Because of this, even though I may be as strong as Lord Shiva, I shall be vanquished without delay due to my offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. So he's going straight away, humbly, he's telling, no power in the world can save me except your forgiveness. Please answer my questions. Please clear my doubts. Please pull me out of these entanglements. But most importantly, please forgive me. Even though my words will not affect you, I'm not capable, I'm not worthy enough to even insult you. I know that, but still I've insulted you. Please forgive me. Hare Krishna. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 5th canto of the 5th canto, 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Discussion Between Jada Bharata and Maharaj Rahugana. Jada Bharata Maharaj ki jai, Maharaj Rahugana ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sukadeva Goswami Parikshit Maharaj ki jai, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai, all assembled Vaishnava devotees ki jai, Ekadashi Mahamotsav ki jai. Tagore Premanande. Hari Hari. Thank you very much for your patience and your time on a working day hearing Bhagavatam. Any reflections, additions, clarifications? Please, couple of minutes. I know it's already late.
Prabhuji, I wish somebody can make a movie of this whole story, Prabhuji. It has all the content, Prabhuji. It has fighting, it has sorrow, it has so many things. I wish somebody can make a nice movie of Jada Bharata movie.
No need to make a movie. Just make a movie on me, how I deal with others when I go outside.
Prabhuji, so this knowledge he has acquired is because he's already a Bharat Maharaj. When he was Bharat Maharaj, he has all this, and then that's what he's just carrying, and then that's why he has a realized soul, Prabhuji. Is it correct?
Yes, he doesn't. He was awarded that. It's a benediction, God-given benediction, that he remembers everything that he realized in the past life.
But that will not happen with everybody, right? Because he is a
Of course, it will not happen with everybody. And by the way, if it happens with me, if I remember my past life, I don't think I can see my face in the mirror. What all nonsense I've done. I don't want to know. Krishna, don't tell me what I've done in past life. For that matter, don't show me what I've done in this life also. Don't show me. I can't. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sakya Prem Prabhu, thank you for your presence. Please forgive me if I spoke anything wrong. Can I add or subscribe?
You told very nicely. I'm very glad I attended this class today. And I really like the way you brought the topic, saying that how in second chapter, how a self-realized soul is there. And you brought the connection. And you explained how Jada is that. And then how he identified the right person to preach. And the how he carries the Lord. The way he describes that he's abode of Supreme Personality of Godhead, describing in translation. That itself is like blowing me out. Like he's really thinking of his Lord stays in the heart of devotees. Very nice lecture, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Yes, that statement that you are the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is unbelievable. He is carrying the Lord everywhere. carrying the Lord everywhere.
Right.
Hare Krishna. So happy Ekadashi for everyone.
Prabhuji,
yeah.
this after that after that, like he asked questions to Jadavarta, so Jadavarta is responding to it in the next chapter.
Yes.
Okay. That
Wait
will be
for the
Yeah.
suspense to be opened. I don't know
Yeah.
whom Shilpa Mataji will designate now. Who is the next person to take the class? She has a whole schedule that she has planned. Thank you everybody for attending, and please keep reading Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam Grandha ki jai, Amala Puran Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Hari Bol.
Dandavat pranam, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very
Thank you,
nice
ma'am.
class.
Thank you, ma'am. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat pranam, Prabhuji.
Dandavat pranam.